China's dream, Trump's strike, and Venezuela's sinking empire, whose end is near, and who will turn this game in their favor. Imagine a moment when the fate of three global powers is tied to the oil wells of a single country, when China's loans of more than $10 billion start gathering dust like forgotten files, when India's money also disappears into the same dark tunnel, and at that very moment, the world's most powerful military descends from the sky and takes control of that nation. On one side is the anger of a superpower, on the other the restlessness of the dragon, and trapped in the middle is a country, its name, Venezuela. And the question is not what will happen, the real question is, who will truly own this game in the end? China? America? Or this very nation with the world's largest oil reserves? Venezuela, once a country that proudly called itself the new Saudi Arabia, has today become the battleground for one of the world's biggest geopolitical experiments. Once the king of gold, gas, rare minerals, and most importantly, oil, today it has become another name for debt, sanctions, poverty, collapse, and political chaos. And the two biggest characters of this story are China and America. One tried to shape its dreams by lending money to Venezuela, the other tightened its grip on the country's veins through bombs, sanctions, and force. It was the 2000s. China's economy was rising like a rocket. Factories were running non-stop. Cities were racing forward. Technology was exploding. But China desperately needed one thing: oil, energy, the fuel of growth. At the same time, Venezuela had oil, but no money. The country was collapsing. The economy was falling, and it wanted to reduce its dependence on America. And that is where a deal was struck between the two. One that sounded like a partnership at first, but slowly turned into destiny. China said, "We will give you money. A lot of money. More than $100 billion. You will give us oil. And not in cash, but directly as debt repayment." Meaning, the money wouldn't actually go into Venezuela's pocket. China would simply adjust it in its own accounts. In return, mega projects began in Venezuela. Railway lines, dams, power plants, infrastructure development, electric grids. Everything was built. Money flowed. And it began to look like Venezuela was rising. Chavez was happy, Beijing was happy, and the world was stunned. China's entry into Latin America was considered historic. But every story has a hidden twist. And the twist in this story was dependence. Venezuela didn't just become an oil-dependent nation, it turned into an oil-addicted nation. It had gold, it had gas, it had minerals, but the government left the entire economy resting only on oil. As long as oil prices were high, everything looked shiny and glorious. But the world is not a fairy tale. Prices fell. The market changed. And Venezuela's shiny dream slowly turned into a dark nightmare. Production declined. Refineries began to break down. The government no longer had money for maintenance. Investments stopped. And then came the one thing every weak economy fears the most: American sanctions. 2017 flipped the biggest chapter of this story. America began cutting Venezuela off from the global financial system. Dollar transactions were blocked. Restrictions were placed on oil shipping. Bonds defaulted. Insurance companies withdrew. Ports froze. And this meant only one thing. The economy that was standing on loans and oil had the ground pulled out from beneath its feet. People went hungry. The nation slipped into chaos. Crime rose. Protests erupted. Political breakdown intensified. And then what the world had feared finally happened. Maduro became isolated. The economy began to collapse. The army filled the streets. People started fleeing across borders. Millions turned into refugees. And in the middle of this darkness, China's grand dreams got stuck. There was a time when Venezuela was China's biggest energy partner. China was the biggest investor. But when war, sanctions, and a debt storm hit, Beijing's money got stuck there. Today, the situation is such that nearly $10 billion of China's money is trapped in Venezuela. Once there was a loan of $106 billion. And now the repayment condition is so bad that Venezuela itself is barely able to survive. And America? It has openly warned. Whoever goes against us will not see oil. Sanctioned ships will not sail. Restricted tankers will remain blocked. And if the world does not obey, then the military will restore order. After Maduro's arrest, the entire power equation has changed. Washington is openly saying, "We will open Venezuela's oil sector. Foreign companies will come. American dominance will return." Meaning the story is simple. Oil is not just oil, it is a political weapon. Now think, what about China? Beijing did not just give money to Venezuela. It had invested a vision. It wanted to build its influence in Latin America. It wanted to secure its energy future. It wanted to prepare parallel platforms against the dollar system. But American intervention ruined the entire game. Now the biggest question is, will China's money sink? The debt repayment model in exchange for oil sounds perfect. But its biggest weakness was this: fixed oil commitment. What if production falls? What if sanctions are imposed? What if tankers get stuck? What if the USA shuts the gate? Then where will the repayment come from? That is exactly what happened. Venezuela's production collapsed, sanctions came, ports went into lockdown, and the repayment chain broke. Result: billions stuck. India is also a small but very emotional part of this story. ONGC stake, dividends pending, projects halted, payments blocked. Indian money too is stuck in the same dark well where China's money lies. The only difference is China is crying over 10 billion. India is waiting for 1 billion. But the pain is equally real for both. Now the picture's new frame. Trump is openly taking control. America is saying, oil is our influence zone, and China is slowly seen stepping back. Loans stopped. New money stopped. Engagement reduced. Trust shattered. Beijing has understood that America is too deeply invested in this battleground. And if China wants to stay in this race, it will not just have to put in money, it will also have to military, political, and diplomatic power. And that too in Latin America. Historically, the USA's backyard. The risk is huge. The return is uncertain. That's why China is now thinking only about recovery, not expansion. But the question is not just, will China lose its money? The real question is, will China's global loan diplomacy lose credibility? Will the world learn that the oil against loans model, no matter how attractive it looks, is not sustainable? Is this a caution bell for belt and road type engagements? Perhaps yes. But the story doesn't end here. Because Venezuela is not just an economic story, it is the heartland of power politics. Here America is displaying power. China is stuck. Russia is also part of the equation. Europe is watching. Latin America is nervous. And the world is learning that the battle for resources is not only fought on land but also through debt, shipping routes, sanctions, and diplomacy. And the biggest question, will China get its money back? Honestly, the picture is still unclear. If America reopens the oil sector, if stability returns, if production increases, then maybe repayment is possible. But a stable Venezuela, an American-controlled Venezuela, and a comfortable Venezuela for China, these three concepts cannot exist together in today's geopolitical reality.
If this video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.